What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Week 10 must-add waivers video brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm Simon here with Jay, and we are going to give you 5 players that we think are must-adds on the waiver wire for Week 10. We're going to jump right in with the very first one, and that first player is Elijah Moore, wide receiver for the New York Jets. To start off, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about this past game that Elijah Moore had. He played 60% of the snaps this weekend, which was the most that he's been on the field for since he was on the field for 78% of the snaps in week 2. He has had a lower snap percentage in every week since then until this week. Now, with that snap share, he saw 8 targets for 7 receptions, 84 yards, and 2 touchdowns. While this game was unbelievable from him, and I'm not calling for you to expect multi-touchdown games from Elijah Moore going forward, he's being used, and I think he is the most talented receiver on this team. Even though it is a poor offense, you want the guy who's going to be getting those targets. He is a rookie, so it makes sense that his usage started out slow and then started ramping up. I'm viewing this not as an exception, not as an odd game out, but as a trend of the New York Jets realizing that Elijah Moore is their best receiving option and they need to get him more involved.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love the call. Like you said, past 3 games, he's had 8 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets. And he's been doing it with, even though he's a legend, Mike White and Josh Johnson at quarterback. So I know Zach Wilson has struggled, but I do expect him to be the starter when he's healthy enough. And I think, like you said, I think they've realized that if they want this offense to go anywhere, it's got to go through Michael Carter, Elijah Moore. Use these rookie weapons that, they drafted high. Don't go back to the likes of Corey Davis and Kevin Coleman. Like these guys, like they're decent, but they're not explosive like the rookies. So I absolutely love this. I think it's the one thing to be wary of is he did have 2 solid games with Corey Davis out. So Corey Davis, he will be back. So
yeah,
I do think he's still going to be involved, but temper expectations a little bit from the super high ceiling games, I think, with when Corey Davis comes back.
And temper expectations because it is the Jets offense.
Exactly.
Two touchdown performances from the Jets are something to applaud, let alone from a single player on the Jets.
But this defense isn't very good. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts. So, he's the type of guy that can, take it to the house. He was very hyped in the offseason as, that under the radar guy, not under the radar, but outside of the Jamar Chases and the Devonta. Right. That second tier who could make that big leap into the, the top echelon of the rookie wide receivers. So.
Yep. And a reminder, garbage time points count, and bad offenses still can create good fantasy players. Exactly. So don't be entirely scared off. Guys, the next player we are going to bring up is a running back for, I almost said the Atlanta Falcons because he was there for so long, but it is the Baltimore Ravens. Devonta Freeman, running back for the Baltimore Ravens now, is the next player that we think is a must-add in Week 10.
Yeah, and you know what? I was looking at it today. He's been on the Giants. Who was he? I forgot he was even on the Saints. I think he was on the Saints last year. Now the Falcons. Like you feel like he's now a journeyman. It feels like so long ago when he was with the Falcons when he was just a monster. But it kind of feels gross recommending picking up Devonta Freeman. But we know the Baltimore Ravens are a run-first team, and he's been the guy. Latavius Murray has been out, and he's looking better. Just watching him on the field, it looked like he's getting more comfortable in this offense. Let's, not get it twisted. He's not the Devonta Freeman of the Atlanta Falcons when he was, the RB1. But he's been serviceable. He's had double-digit points in the last 3 games. He scored a touchdown in the last 3 games. This team is going to run the ball. We know that. I saw a tweet earlier from our friend Dave Kluge. Said over the last 4 games, Devonta Freeman has 11 red zone touches. All other running backs, 12 touches. Devonta Freeman has 12 targets. All the other running backs have 11 targets. So he has emerged as the running back. I'm going to say running back 2 because we all know Lamar Jackson is the running back 1 in this offense. But
man, he's so good.
I love him. I love Lamar Jackson. So but he's, especially with bye weeks, with injuries, the inconsistency that we've had at the running back position, I think you have to pick up Devonta Freeman as a back end running back 2, a bye week fill in, and depending on the matchup, a pretty decent flex play.
Yeah, and just to highlight a little bit more about what you were saying, It's not just appearing that he is the RB1 in this offense. They're showing us that with what they're putting on the field. He had the highest snap share of any Ravens running back this week at 58% of the snaps in week 9. The next closest was Lev Bell with only 23% of the snaps. So he is very clearly the running back that they have on the field the majority of the time now. And I'm with you. In this gross running back landscape, there are not very many guys that you can feel comfortable plugging in. And at this point, you know what? Freeman's about as comfortable as you're going to get outside of that like surefire top tier. He's getting the snaps. He's getting the carries. This is a good offense. He needs to be rostered.
He's a warm body, and he's getting the volume. That's pretty much what you want out of a running back too these days.
And I think that is a good segue into our next running back. I think someone that nobody thought we would be talking about in the year 2021 as a viable fantasy option, but that is running back Jordan Howard for the Philadelphia Eagles. Here we are. We're talking about Jordan Howard again. Man, he has been awesome in years past, but has been kind of an afterthought recently. But after Miles Sanders went down, there was a lot of uncertainty in that Eagles backfield. People assumed it was all going to go to Kenneth Gainwell because he had been stealing snaps from Miles Sanders, but the Eagles said nope, and they started using Boston Scott and Jordan Howard fairly heavily. This past week, Jordan Howard saw 40% of the running back snaps, Boston Scott 44%, and Kenneth Gainwell only 19% of the running back snaps. That being said, Jordan Howard saw 17 carries to Boston Scott's 10, came away with 71 yards and a touchdown. He's getting the carries. I don't know what made Nick Sirianni realize that they need to establish the running game, but Miles Sanders went down and they're doing it, and Jordan Howard is a crucial part of what they're doing with the ball on the ground. Kind of like Devonta Freeman. He's getting touches. He's a body. You need to roster him. He's got a touchdown in back-to-back weeks now, at least one.
Yeah, he's got this type of usage in back-to-back weeks. 3 weeks ago, he wasn't even active, but now he's getting 17 carries. Miles Sanders, the most attempts he's got in one game is 15, and that was week 1. It blows my mind. I've said this a few times. I'm a Miles Sanders truther. If they would give him this type of volume, it would be unreal. But that's here nor there. Like we said, Jordan Howard's a warm body. He's getting the volume. He's getting the red zone work. This team, as of right now, it looks like they're turning into a run-first team too. That's the Eagles have looked the best when they've been establishing the run. So I expect it to continue. Again, it's the Eagles. We don't know if it will or not. Things could change at the drop of a hat. But right now, you can't leave him out there on the waiver wire. I'm not comfortable starting him, but he's getting too much volume. He's getting too much work that you can't leave him out on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Jay. We're going to go ahead and move into our next guy. It is another running back, 3 running backs on this week's episode of Must Add Waiver Picks. But this one is Alex Collins, running back for the Seattle Seahawks. And this one just comes down to 2 simple facts. One, we don't really know what to expect of Chris Carson rest of season. This is an injury that could keep him out the remainder of the year, which would mean Alex Collins is the lead back rest of season for the Seattle Seahawks. Adding to that, that's enough already to make sure he's a must-add if he's playing. Russell Wilson's expected to come back, and that offense is an entirely different beast with Russell Wilson at the helm instead of Geno Smith. I expect the entire offense's production to go up, and if Collins is the back that's going to get the majority of the carries there, he's a must-add and a comfortable start in my eyes.
Yeah, since Chris Carson went down with injury, the 4 games that he played, Alex Collins got 15 carries, 20 carries, 16 carries, 10 carries. So he was being used. And like you said, many of those games were without Russell Wilson. But he got hurt in the Rams game, I believe, right? So 3 games without Russell Wilson. This offense is definitely going to look a lot better without Geno Smith under center. So it's a similar situation. It's not looking good for Chris Carson. Every report is that he's not close. They don't know when he's going to come back. And especially it being a neck injury, I don't expect him to be back anytime soon. This is another scenario where it's, like you said, it's a lead running back. There's no reason a starting running back for the Seattle Seahawks is only 43% rostered in Yahoo leagues. You have to pick him up. It's one of those things.
Make sure you go check your waiver wire. There's a decent chance he's rostered in your league, but like Jay said, 43% in Yahoo leagues right now. There's also a very real chance there's a starting running back just sitting on your waiver wire right now, which is a very rare occurrence in week 10 of an NFL season.
With bye weeks, with injuries, that's the type of guy that you want on the end of your bench.
Absolutely agree. We've got one more guy for you guys today. This is a wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. Rashod Bateman is the last player that we think is a must-add in week 10.
Yeah, so since Rashod Bateman has come back from injury, he's had a pretty encouraging target share in 3 games. The first game was 22%, Second game was 14% and then 20%. He's averaging roughly 7 targets a game, 4 catches. He's got double-digit points in 2 of the 3 games. Still doesn't have a touchdown on the young season yet, but it seems that he's emerged as the second option alongside of Mark Andrews with right behind Hollywood Brown. The Ravens are passing a lot more this season. Hollywood Brown has been the beneficiary of that. They've got the chemistry, him and Lamar. But I think that this offense is passing enough. Bateman has looked good, in tough situations, third downs and stuff like that. Lamar has looked for Bateman, and I expect him to continue to get some pretty solid volume. He's only rostered in 36% of Yahoo leagues. That is absurd, especially as good as this offense has looked. And the thing is, the Ravens defense isn't the Ravens defense of old, as we saw this week. They gave up a bunch of points to, the Vikings are a decent offense, but, they're not somebody who you would expect the Baltimore Ravens defense to give up 31 points to. So they're going to be in a lot more situations where they're going to have to air the ball out. And Bateman has looked good. This passing offense has looked good. And I think he's somebody who could be a rock-solid flex player, a bye-week replacement.
Yeah, and I think the big knock on him whenever he was coming off of IR and people were talking about adding him was that the narrative that Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense couldn't support another pass catcher. But if you look at how this Ravens offense is running, it's not that they're running the ball less. It's not that they're rushing less. It's just that they are running plays at an unreal pace this year compared to last year. And because of that, their passing volume has gone way up compared to last season. In 2 of the last 4 games, Lamar Jackson has thrown the ball more than 40 times. And in 6 of the 9 games, it's been more than 30. That is not the kind of passing attack we saw from the Baltimore Ravens last year. And Lamar Jackson's accuracy has taken a big old jump this year. I know everyone was saying in the offseason, what if Lamar Jackson takes a Josh Allen type accuracy leap? Well, you know what? He's doing it. He actually is. And because of that, the increased passing numbers, this is a team that can support Hollywood, Rashod Bateman, and Mark Andrews, all as viable fantasy options on different levels.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, and Lamar's numbers would look even better. There was a couple of brutal drops. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago at Hollywood. That would have been 3 additional long touchdowns. So Lamar Jackson has been phenomenal. It hasn't been him in the passing game. It's been the receivers dropping balls. He's looked good. Like you said, it's finally to the point where he can support a passing game of multiple options, and he might have another MVP season up his sleeve.
Man, that would be so much fun. Guys, that is the 5 players that we think you need to add in week 5. A quick recap on who those 5 players were. We had Elijah Moore, wide receiver for the New York Jets, Devonta Freeman, running back for the Baltimore Ravens, Jordan Howard, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, Alex Collins, running back for the Seattle Seahawks, and Rashod Bateman, wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. Go out there, add those guys to your fantasy teams, and win some more games on the way to that fantasy title. We will be back next week with more waiver wire ads for you for week 11, but until then, we are out of here. We'll see you later, everybody.